introduce you to one man, Mwitiki Kioko, who's able to breathe life into recycled material, and he's making big cash because of his creative attitude. Welcome to the Power Breakfast Show, Mwitiki Kioko.
Thank you.
So you decided to focus on waste material to come up with these amazing designs that have given you an opportunity to traverse the globe. Perhaps you could tell us, how did it start? Because you worked as a mechanic when you started. Yeah.
Yes, I worked as an apprentice welder in a metal factory that was making milk cans in Nakuru. Milk cans for for cows. I mean, for milk. This came after I got a little stint, or I got a break from my university education. We got expelled from university, having been involved in student unrest and riots in the 80s, which was quite common. Eventually, I had no other course. I could not go on with my to finish my course at that time. So in 1986, 85-86. The only job I could find then was working in a milk can factory in Nakuru, which was actually called Nakuru Aluminium Works. And I was an apprentice welder there for a couple of years. During my apprenticeship program, I learned to use the waste material there because of the section of which I was working. But I need to say also that I do have some art background. I was a trained art teacher from the fine art department in KU, so I'd had some stint. Only that when I went outside and I got involved in the informal sector, did I get all my creative energies tied up together. And I learned that you can make things out of a very little environment where you're in, and you can create your little change with just what you have. So I came out of that place with a new vision, with a new understanding and a new outlook to things that people take for granted. So that's where I started in brief. It's a very little short story of just where I came from.
All right. So how did you begin to make business sense out of, these are recycled materials, and you were once employed and then you decided, now I'm going to move away from employment, be employed myself, and perhaps even employ other people. How did you make that transition?
When I came out of the apprenticeship program, I was recalled back to the university. I finished my university degree, and I was an art teacher in Consolata Primary in Westlands for many years. And my interaction there also taught me a lot in terms of, just how far you can push creativity in terms of you teaching other people. But when I came out of there, I had to make a choice in my life, just like we all have to make many choices in life. And I decided that I think I have a calling to do something. This is it. And I came out of that, and I started working very closely with our national museums, which was then a very serious hub of activity in terms of hosting the creative minds in Kenya. And I also want to mention one or two things that there are institutions in this country that people should not ignore. Like our National Museum has been a heritage for so many creative people. A lot of people have bubbled from there in terms of creativity. And it's important that we also have recesses, or we have little banks or gene pools of creativity in this country, which people can go to do research, to look back into, because from there I was able to launch myself into my career. And I must also mention that success does not come from you just being who you are. Around you, you work with a team of people. And the people that you relate to, a lot of the creative industry involves a lot of what you might call, sucking nectar from different flowers.
Whoa.
So like all these people who you work with,
they've got something to offer.
They've got something to offer, and you're able to put something on the table that is really unique. So I'm a total, what you might call a result of so many people within me. Young people that I've trained, people that I've met outside this country, people who I exchange ideas with, and people who want to create change. So within you, you're able to create a formidable identity of Kenya, which looks very unique, but it's really you plus many other people.
What are the major creations that you have made in your career?
Oh, well, I must say that for a long time, actually, like they always say that heroes or people really start from very far. My most important creation is actually in Serengeti National Park. I've worked for the Tanzanian government for a long time, and that was my first time to engage in what you call public art. From there,
what were you doing for the Serengeti?
I did a park, a children's park, which is called a nature trail, which is like an interpretive nature trail where the children can go and learn how to conserve wildlife. So within the park, we have areas where those children who cannot actually get to see the animals can see other kind of animals that are made out of metal and get to know how, how nature interacts, or how nature or how the heritage that people are given can be so important to you, but you need to start teaching children at an early stage. So it's important also that children see what we have inherited in terms of not just culture, even our wildlife. And I must also mention that one of the most crucial things in this country, and maybe things that people don't understand, is that very few of us and very few children have actually seen an elephant in this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have so many elephants.
Perhaps.
Very few children have seen the migration in this country.
The wildebeest migration.
The wildebeest migration. Because we have all this heritage, but it's put in a very different perspective, because you have to be a tourist to go to Masai Mara. You have to pay gate charges. So the only way you'll see wildebeest is probably when it's just lost direction and it wanders into your compound, which is also very rare. So we must create within us a way of teaching our generation or our children how to appreciate wildlife through art.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the fact that people haven't seen elephants, it's a bad thing, but I'm also saying that there are many ways of making us aware of our
the environment.
Yeah.
What made you do those elephants on the way to the airport?
What made me do those elephants on the way to the airport? I was hungry. Oh.
Were you commissioned, or you what
No,
yeah.
we were commissioned. Actually, that was an ongoing project that started off with the Nakumatt chain of supermarkets.
So those elephants are Nakumatt are yours?
It's my creation, which was also organized or helped by a company called KPMG, Pete Mawick, who also sponsored, and they put in some money. I must say also the corporate sector in this country has played a big role in promoting art, and we must also give them appreciation. The corporate sector has played a big role in promoting art, including institutions that I mentioned, like the museum. And of course now we have other new state corporations coming up, and the whole energy is changing a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, from waste to fame, perhaps you're wondering, what are we talking about? So let's take a look at some of those photos there, or some of the things that Mwitiki Kioko has made. Wow, look at that. Look at that. You see, the challenge, Mwitiki Kioko, generally is we have creative people.
Yes.
But then how do you market yourself? Because you can be creative and still sleep hungry. So how did you manage to get your market and even get global?
There's one thing that is very important, that you have to stay true to your art. You have to stay true to your art. You must have an identity mark. It's like a musician must have a beat. You must have a rhythm. You must have a style. And you must avoid trying to, do a little bit of, being R&B or trying to do hip hop and you must have an identity yourself. And once you get an identity as an artist, that's what you push. And it happens all the time in music, in poetry. Writers have their own unique way of expressing themselves. Poets have the same thing. Here in this country, we have a lot of creative energy. There are a lot of creative young people who are pushed by genuine creativity, because the most important thing, apart from just the marketing, once you establish yourself as a person who has an identity, people want to see that identity. People want that because that is that, and it's unique. So it's important for us to have the product. Once the product is out there, marketing becomes very easy, because it is only you and only you who can do that.
Why do you use metal, not wood, not anything else?
I use metal because we have one thing that is very important in this country, is that we have materials that are easily available, accessible, and they're cheap. And I don't have to go and buy expensive steel, you know, fabricated steel industries or stuff like that where the metal is so expensive. We have a lot of waste material in this country, and part of my philosophy also is to recycle and to teach young people, to explain to people that you can work from within where you are. You don't need to look far. So the idea of having to use recycling or waste material is that it's cheap, it's available, it's sustainable, and you can conjure or put something together very quickly. So there's a philosophy behind it. The other thing is that we are running out of trees. We are running out of trees. If everybody decides to chop trees up or make some art out of trees, we get into trouble. And I would like to mention also something very interesting. For example, we have the famous Wamonyo covers out there. They have a cooperative society that has been going on for so long, that has been churning out all these wooden carvings that have been exported in the US, all over the world. But what people don't realize, behind that trade of wood carving, a lot of trees are getting decimated. So if these people are depending on trees to make a living, their lifetime or their lifespan of creativity is very limited. We need to turn around and show them you can also make the same elephant, the same wildebeest, the same animal in a different material. And because they are creative people, all they need to do is to change from a pencil to a pen, or from a pen to something more dynamic.
You recently had an exhibition in America. Can you tell us about it?
I've had an ongoing program in the US where because of the nature of my work, I work with zoos. Zoos, yeah. Zoos are a lot of places that consume wildlife art. So I've had a chance to work with the famous San Diego Zoo for the last maybe, I would say 10 years. And recently I was in Philadelphia starting up a new program. What these programs do is that they create openings for my apprentices and the people that I teach, so that I also place them and their work in certain institutions all over the world where they are able to interact and sell their work. So I come with a very huge team of people.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Perhaps, you know, somebody's at home and thinking, you know, I would want to take this as an opportunity to make money. Of course, being wary of parasites and thieves. Annually, how much do you approximately make?
I don't know. It depends. You know, you can make a couple of, you know, it depends really. I would say it's very varied in terms of income, but this is a business that can move from, you know, a couple of thousand shillings or dollars to multi-million dollars. It depends on who you're working, how you're working in terms of the production. Because we are talking of huge animals. We are talking of, if you're doing a migration of 100 animals, and you
Can you tell us about that? I understand you have a project to do that at the airport.
Yes. For example, we're doing something for the airport. You know, the new look for the airport, and you know, changing the whole concept. Because I think one thing that has been ignored in this country for a long time is that we have a heritage, which is very important. We have one of the 7th wonders of the world, the migration, which has been downplayed so much. And I think when people come at the airport, when visitors come into this country, the first thing they should see is our heritage. So we have a program where we are going to have like maybe 100 or 200, I mean between 80 and 100 wildebeest migrating on a section of the airport. That's a big project. Big project in the sense that it also involves a lot of young apprentices coming in. And big project in the sense that in terms of just what the capital will be also be more. You know what I'm saying? That those are the projects that create artists or make artists also bring in new artists on the platform. Yeah.
If you were to describe your art, of course, other people call it junk art.
Yeah.
And if I may just look at, there's a statement that was written by an Italian art critic, De La Rosa, who basically termed junk art as poor art or art of recycling. And to some extent you have a feeling of it's degrading art. How would you describe the kind of art that you have?
There is there's some weight in what you're saying, in the sense that in the beginning I've gone through all these transitional periods where somebody comes and look at what you've done and says, you can see the shock absorber, you can see some nuts and bolts, and you can see some spark plugs. And when you say you want maybe 5,000 or 10,000 for this, they're like, but it's just a spark plug and a piece of shock absorber which I can get from the street or from the garage and fix it myself. There is that there's that general perception that you're dealing with a material that's very cheap, so the art should be very cheap. But that happens also. You have people who think that artist materials are cheap. For a long time in history, the pastel, which is a medium for painting, was regarded as a poor man's media. There is also an idea that recycled art is cheap. You need to work with bronze. But I want to tell young people who want to be sculptors, who want to really express themselves in this material, that there are details that you can get with scrap metal that you will never ever get with bronze. And even the bronze, the famous bronze casters themselves accept that. Wow. There's a limitation to material.
So if, for instance, I want to commission you to do an elephant or a lion in my compound, where my friends come and visit and have some drink, we want a lion and an elephant there. How much would it cost me on an average?
On an average, it can cost you between 100,000 to up to $1 million. It depends on how you want your lion, how the
if it's made of that junk, why should it cost 100,000?
That's where I'm having problem with the people like you, because that's a problem we're trying to solve. We're trying to say it's not junk, it's real art. But
for instance, yes, you can comment on that. How much is that?
How much would it
that will give you about maybe 100, 150, or sometimes up to, it depends on the finish. This is a very basic finish. And also there are different techniques that are there in terms of execution. This is not very detailed, but you can have more than that. You can have more than that.
And do you get people buying?
Yes,
frequency.
Yes, we have, like I said, we work with the zoos around the world. So we export to zoos around the world. We work with the governments, Tanzanian government. We work with our government also. Recently, we are doing a program with our local government.
What about individuals? I've seen these kind of animals displayed on the roadside.
Yes,
People go and buy, for instance, a big giraffe.
Yes.
You see a giraffe, a 10 giraffe on the roadside.
Yes.
You buy it and take it to a court.
Yes.
People buy them.
In fact, Mr. Mwitiki, that's one thing I should mention also, is that my apprentice program has created a lot of young people. All these people you see on the side of the streets, the people you see in Nairobi are my students or students of my students. So it's become a Kenyan fashion. It's a Kenyan thing. And it's nice, and I feel very flattered that one man can create that, can provide, can give such a change. All those giraffes, all those little animals you see, one of those people is directly or indirectly related to the Kioko Art Studio. Yeah.
Perhaps your final word. I mean, the way you started and you realize this is big business, and now you're making an impact. What is your word to people who have, talent, creativity? It's your final word, and perhaps you could also give us your contacts of people who want to conduct business with you.
I would say that we have seen in this country the explosion of music. We have seen in this country the explosion of spiritualism. And we have seen in this country the explosion of cultural values and cultural things, and people being very different. We have to realize one thing. At a certain point in time, every country, every nation has got all its facets firing at the same time. And this could be something a little bit spiritual. But Kenya is getting to a point where we have all our young people expressing themselves. We have all the creative spirit bubbling up. Wow. Hopefully the economy and other things will come up and the country will just explode. So this is the right time for anybody who has an idea and wants to move forward, because we have all kinds of media, ways to send photos about what you're doing, text somebody, do this. You cannot live in a cocoon anymore. So it's easy to tell people, I'm a singer and this is my demo tape. I'm an artist and this is what I do.
Yeah.
You can put your sculpture on the side of the road, somebody will look at it. You know, you cannot, even marketing has jumped out of the table. You know, it's not a question of you studying marketing. It's a question of you, what do you have? Because, you know, we have a lot of Chinese, you know, stuff around.
Yeah.
Do you have something different? It is sad for people to buy a giraffe from China while we have local artists making beautiful giraffes.
Well,
Yeah.
we buy toothpick from China.
Yeah, we need to work on that now.
Well, we
need to work on that.
Your
Maybe.
contacts, perhaps?
My contacts, we run a studio. We run a studio on Magadi Road. I'm putting up a new studio, which is big on Magadi Road, a place called Kisamis. Kisamis. And we also have a gallery, cum studio in Babane Road, outside Lavington, and that's where I do my training. And there are other small mini studios, I must say, that are scattered in many places. If somebody wants to put young people into an apprentice program, they can contact me. They can contact me. Telephone number is 0722 76 40 85. Yeah,
All right.
Kioko Mwitiki.
Repeat.
Repeat
the number.
Yeah, 0722 76 40 85. And we run a studio called the Pimbi Art Gallery.
Okay.
Pimbi Art Gallery. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank
indeed.
you so much. Thank you for hosting me. Yeah.
Very
My pleasure.
well.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, and of course, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for